on this program are those of the commenters alone. They do not represent the views or opinions of Valley News Live, our parent company, or our advertisers.
And welcome back to 6:30 Point of View. Joining us now is MSUM President Edna Szymanski. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Now, we had the situation, 232 students sent out acceptance letters. Inadvertently, those were not supposed to go out to those students. Talk to me a little bit about, first of all, how it happened and the options for those students.
Well, let me skip to the options for those students. It was a whole host of things, like a perfect storm of things that went wrong. But the more we have looked into it since we first discovered it, the more we've come to the conclusion that we really want to do what's right for these students. Now, I'm worried about success of students, but the compromise here is that all of those 232 will get a letter reinstating their admission, but they will have the opportunity to participate, actually sort of the requirement, but they'll participate in a student success plan that has increased contact with faculty, increased advising, a study skills course, and they won't be taking as high a load initially. Now, the contents of this approach, the study skills, it's basically a student success plan. At other universities in our system, they've been able to show that students with similar profiles who have that additional support and structure have actually a higher graduation rate than the general population. So it really gives them a leg up. So for me, that works, because the big issue for me is when I welcome a student, I want to welcome a student and say, you know, your success is your choice, but we're going to put everything there to help you. So this gives us the ability to do it. And I think it's the right thing under these circumstances. How did it happen? So they're going to get a call and a letter.
Okay.
It's going to take maybe a day or two, because we want to make sure that what they get is the right thing. So we're having everybody and his cousin check here, okay? How did it happen? A host of problems where well-intentioned people made decisions that they really didn't have the authority to make. And that's how it happened. And we've been in the process of some reorganization of that unit, and we discovered these issues. We have put into place some things to make sure that it can't happen again. But the whole thing about admissions that I want to tell you is that the region needs people with good post-secondary education. So our responsibility is to help students start where they're most likely to succeed. In the old days, universities, and all of us, used to take students who really needed a little extra work before they were with us, and it was okay if they didn't succeed, because we got their money, you know? Well, it's not okay anymore. And I never thought it was okay to start with. You know, if you have somebody who's college age and they leave with debt and no degree, they've already set themselves back. So we're trying to do the best we can, working with our partners in the system, our community college partners, to help students start where they're most likely to succeed.
Now, this situation that happened in MSUM, it's not something that's uncommon around the country.
No, and it must be karma, because over the years we read in the Chronicle of Higher Education about this university or that makes a mistake. And, you know, we've always sort of looked at them, I have, and said, well, how could that happen, you know? And what I should have been saying is, there, but for the grace of God go we. So it's not uncommon, but I am really going to do everything in my power to make sure it never happens again. And I will be there to personally welcome those students and to apologize for the errors that we made and the pain we caused.
You're over in Minnesota, you've got a budget shortfall. How much of an effect, if any, will that have on your campus?
I have 5 separate scenarios I've been working right now, all of which scare the living heck out of me. A lot of it depends on how things play out in the state legislature. And it's March, and they are changing every day. In fact, this morning I spoke with one of our legislative representatives, and if the governor's recommendation is supported, okay, and if we're able to raise tuition a modest 3%, we would still have a deficit. But we would be able to absorb that deficit through our reorganization for efficiency, and actually through some things like slightly larger class sections and offering courses slightly less frequently, but still trying to assure that students can graduate on time. So in the scope of our budget, we could manage. We're about $70 million, and we could manage with about $1.5 million to deal with it. But there are some proposals out there right now which, while they might help students, would kill our bottom line and actually would make it very difficult for us to fund the things that we have to provide the support for students to succeed. And not just these students who we're admitting. You know, we have really talented students who come in sometimes, and you know what it's like, you know, first time away from home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So sometimes they get in a bit of trouble, and you got to catch them before they get too far in.
Yep.
And budget cuts will hurt our ability to have the support there to catch them.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up here?
Well, I think you asked before about the challenging times in universities.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm in my 5th year, and by the way, I have to say I love this community. Absolutely love the community. These are very challenging times. We know we need to change in order to survive, but never before has there been such a need for us to help students. And students who come to us often, you know, first generation in their family to attend college. And, you know, there are many, sometimes great adversity, but there's such a need.
Yep.
And we're trying to do everything we can and to be efficient and to evolve. But it is a challenge.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for joining us once again, President of MSUM, Edna Szymanski. Stay with us. More 6:30 Point of View coming up right after.